Have you ever walked away from a job offer feeling you got lowballed, or worse, taken advantage of? Well, if that's the case, this video is for you, because today I'm going to be breaking down exactly why lowball offers happen, how to prevent them, and what you can do differently to start commanding a higher pay. Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Brian, and I'm a corporate recruiter and an HR professional, and I've made it my mission to demystify how corporate hiring works. I also want to level the playing field. So if you're looking to get a leg up in your job search and in your career, make sure you hit the subscribe button. You may also want to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content. And if you're tired of employers holding all the cards and you've been subjected to lowball offer after lowball offer, isn't it time you reclaim control? And if you're not sure how to do that, you're in luck. I've created a free 1.5-hour webinar which teaches you exactly how you can start approaching your career with more strategy and conviction. So if you've been struggling on the job market and you care about your career, this webinar is for you. I will leave a link in the comments below. Let's start with the hard pill to swallow. If you're not considered in demand, none of the tactics that I'm going to share with you today will really matter all that much. Because if a company doesn't value what you bring to the table, or if they see you as just another average candidate, they're probably going to pay you average money or worse. Unfortunately, that's just how it works. So first and foremost, the most important step to avoiding a lowball offer is to make yourself somebody that the market wants. So what does that mean? Well, it means leveling up your skills, means staying relevant to what's actually being used in the industry, and it means gaining experience that companies actually want to pay for. So if you're not sure what that looks like, I recommend that you look at job descriptions in your field. You should be doing this on a regular basis, even when you're not looking. You want to talk to people who are in the roles that you already aspire to, and you want to study your competition, because once you become in demand, the power dynamic starts to shift in your favor, and avoiding lowball offers becomes much easier when the employer is hunting you down. So that leads us to the next point, is that you need to target the right companies. You could be a rock star candidate, but if you're interviewing with companies that have a pay lagger philosophy, meaning they intentionally pay below market, then you're going to get lowballed no matter what. So instead, you want to focus on the pay leaders in your industry. And if you're not sure who they are, just look around at where everybody is wanting to work. Most industries have one or two alpha employers that are known to be the most desirable employers in the job market. And these are the companies that are known for compensating top talent fairly and sometimes even generously. Think of the industry giants, innovators, fast-growing tech firms potentially, or legacy companies with deep pockets and a reputation for rewarding excellence. And when I'm doing my salary research, I'm checking out sites like Glassdoor, Levels.fyi, Comparably, Team Blind, or you can check out job postings, because companies will often post rates of pay in the job posting itself, especially if it's in a paid transparency state. Now, some companies get cute with it, so you have to make sure that they're posting realistic ranges, with realistic being the key word here. Bottom line here is that if you want the top dollar, you need to target the alpha employers, or at least with companies that want to try to compete with them. And this is a perfect opportunity to talk about this video's sponsor, DeleteMe, because if you're applying to job after job, you're going through interview processes, you tend to be giving out a lot of personal information in your application, and those same companies will often use that information in the application to then check backgrounds, etc. as part of your pre-employment process. The problem is that some of these background check companies actually make your data available for resale to data brokers, and it can be an even bigger problem to try to scrub it off the internet. But fortunately, DeleteMe offers a novel solution to help. Now, getting signed up is really easy. All you got to do is fill out a basic questionnaire where you give them some information so that they know what to look for, and then they get hard to work looking for instances where your information is showing up and then removing it. And every so often, you get a detailed report letting you know what they're finding and doing on your behalf to remove that information. And if you want to get started, DeleteMe has been very gracious to offer a 20% off discount if you use the code LAYOFF at checkout. I will leave a link in the video description below. Now let's talk about salary negotiations itself. There is a huge mistake that I see job seekers make all the time. They think that salary negotiation starts when the offer is made. In fact, that's not the case. It actually starts at the first call. You see, the moment that the recruiter asks, "What's your salary expectations?" that's actually the beginning of salary negotiations. And a lot of candidates will actually fumble this question. And if you undersell yourself here, which is what a lot of people end up doing, thinking that they don't want to eliminate themselves and that they'll make it up later, the chances are you're actually probably not going to. You see, the number that you provide the recruiter is going to be shared with the hiring team, and then they will use that as a basis for forming your offer. So make sure you know what you're doing here. So what do you do? Well, you need to know your market value, and you need to be realistic about your skills and how they compare to other people on the market. In other words, your competition, and have a clear and acceptable range based on research, on data, and have some receipts to back it up. So in other words, if you don't know what somebody with your background and your location and doing your role is making, you're going to be negotiating pretty blind. And that's how you get boxed into a number that you're likely going to regret later. Now, let me give you another recruiter truth bomb. If a company won't talk about compensation early on and you keep being moved forward without clarity, you're going to be setting yourself up to be disappointed. The reason being is you're going to go through round after round of interview, investing lots of hours, and the chance of you getting to the end and having a big disconnect on salary is somewhat high. Now, you don't have to demand a number in the first call, but it is smart to try to address it before moving on to additional rounds. So in other words, if the recruiter is trying to get me to commit to additional rounds of interviewing without discussing my salary first, I'm going to be the one to bring it up before I commit to additional rounds. So you might say something like, well, I'm really excited to move forward with the interview process. Just want to make sure that we're aligned on compensation going forward so that we don't waste each other's time. Can you give me an idea of what you're thinking for this particular role? That way you've anchored a rough range, you've tested that you're in the same ballpark, and you've protected your time. Because if you go through 5 rounds of interviews only to get an offer that's way below your need, you've wasted both your time and you wasted theirs. Now, if they dodge you or refuse to talk the range, that's actually a red flag, and you should make a determination how badly you actually want the job. Next up, we always want to negotiate our offers. Unless the offer is insultingly low, in that case, I would probably walk away. You should always be negotiating. Even small bumps can add up significantly over time, especially if it carries into future raises. It'll factor into your bonuses or 401k matches. Those are things that people don't necessarily consider. And here's the thing. Most companies leave room in the budget, and especially for those superstar candidates. And the first offer is rarely the best offer. Here's the kicker. Most companies actually expect that you're going to negotiate. And if you don't, you might actually be leaving real money on the table. If you find yourself in a lowball offer situation, you might say something like, well, I'm really excited about the role, and I'd love to find a number that we're both happy with. Based on the market research that I've done and what I bring to the table, I was hoping that we could land closer to around X. Now, the goal here is to make it collaborative, but not necessarily confrontational. You want to be confident, but also reasonable. And you always want to negotiate from a position of value. The better you are at marketing what you bring, and hopefully what you bring is state of the art and highly in demand, the more seriously they'll take your ask. And alternatively, if you're a silver or bronze medal candidate, they may not take it as seriously if you try to negotiate too heavily. So have a strategy going in here. And here's a bonus tip. You need to think long-term value. And if there's one thing that I wish more people would understand, your compensation doesn't start with the job offer. It starts years earlier with careful career strategy that you follow. Are you intentionally building skills and experiences that command higher pay? Are you job hopping strategically early in your career to level up quicker? Are you getting into roles that lead to somewhere? Or are you just somebody that's collecting paychecks? If your career has no direction, your pay is going to reflect it. So if you're tired of lowball offers, the best thing that you can do is stop playing defensively and start building a long-term plan that actually puts you into control. Now, if this was helpful and you're serious about never settling for less again, check out my course, The Ultimate Career Blueprint. It's everything that I know about how to take back control in your career and your income from somebody who sat on the hiring side for 20 years. And if you're not there yet, hit the subscribe button. I've got plenty more coming that will help you outsmart the hiring game. And thanks for watching, and remember, don't just accept what they offer, know what you're worth, and ask for it.